Hello, everybody. So I've just finished my first 3-day stint with the National Trust here in Haslemere in Surrey, and it's going really well. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the work. On the first day, I had just kind of an induction day with one of the rangers here who kind of took me around to the various different sites, showed me what they do, looked at some heathland habitats and looked at a beaver enclosure, looked at various other things, and talked a huge amount about what the National Trust do and the projects that they have on at the moment and the things that I'm going to be doing in the future, such as assisting with wildlife reintroduction projects, such as reintroducing water voles into the environment. And yeah, I'm really happy I'm here. I'm really happy I did this. I think this is one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And I'm thinking more about the future now and thinking more about what I want out of life, I think. And maybe it is doing something like wildlife and conservation work, like being a ranger myself, possibly in the future. And yeah, I mean, the amount I'm learning here is fantastic. And I've been given a sort of a reading list. I'm reading Oliver Rackham's History of the Countryside at the moment, which is a fascinating book. And they got all sorts of materials here, like lists of butterflies and various insects that live in the local habitats around here, and it's just fascinating learning about all this. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to memorize all these butterflies, but I mean, yeah, it's fascinating nonetheless, and I know that you know a huge amount of effort goes into the preservation of habitats and the conservation of habitats for butterflies and things like this. And the silver-studded blue butterfly is very important on heathland and so on. And yeah, I'm getting there with it, I think. And it's only been 3 days so far, so they're not expecting me to know everything straight off the bat, obviously. But yeah, the work is challenging, interesting. It's I haven't done sort of manual work for quite some time, so I'm really out of shape, and that's the one thing that's kind of bothering me a little bit about this, just how out of shape I am. But I imagine like that'll all return in due course, and that I'll be fit and capable again and strong again. And I've got some weights outside the house here, so I'm going to do some weight training today, I think, just for about half an hour or so and try and get my fitness levels back. And yeah, we were yesterday we were uh shoveling green hay onto sort of patches of degraded grassland or grassland that had been mown, and there's kind of like bald patches on the grass. So we're just putting green hay on there to get the seeds from the grasses to go back into the soil and get some new growth there at some point, which is kind of what they're hoping for, and get some wildflowers growing, hopefully, and all that sort of good stuff. And yeah, doing tree guards the day before that, and also building some cages for water voles for when we release them. And it's all very interesting stuff. And I think I can really see myself doing this long term. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying being out in the countryside doing this sort of stuff. And the surroundings around here are absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful here in the South Downs. And yeah, it's going well, I think. I think, yeah, I'm enjoying life more than I have been over the past year or so. I mean, this year's been pretty difficult for me. It's been, well, I mean, it's been difficult in a sense because I've been living in a homeless shelter, and that obviously comes with all sorts of difficulties and lots of nonsense going on, basically, such as this guy, Richard Hubbard, pulling a knife on my friend, and then him getting arrested and dragged off by the police, and him assaulting police officers on his inevitable way to prison. and so on, and having to deal with this sort of stuff. Um, as I've said before, I met loads of great people in the homeless shelter, loads of people I want to keep in contact with, but it's just a stressful environment. It's a stressful environment, crucially, where you can't do anything, where you can't work. You're not really encouraged to volunteer either in a homeless shelter, which I think is a dreadful oversight. I don't think, that these places are really helping people in the way that they should be helping people. I know they give accommodation to people and you get food deliveries so that you don't starve to death. But yeah, I think really the homeless shelters shouldn't be seen as a kind of a destination. And I know they move people onto their own flats, hopefully via services like Homes for Wiltshire and so on, that you get a flat after a couple of years of being in a homeless shelter. But really, I think more could be done to kind of prepare people for work. And I think that this fact, which doesn't come from organizations like Elaborate, which run the homeless shelter where I was staying, but it comes from central government, where they cut off your housing benefits if you start working. I think that is the most monstrous oversight imaginable. And people very often, go into low paid work to try and do something, to try and build up their experience and make themselves more employable in the future, and all this sort of thing. And it's it's not good enough that we cut off people's benefits the minute they start working. I think people in work need benefits as much as people out of work, because work just doesn't pay. Of course, it doesn't cover the basic necessities of life. Say if I were to be working in a pub while in a homeless shelter, which I've done before, the amount of money that you earn working in a pub does not cover rent. It does not cover rent, food, bills, expenses, everything else. It's just not enough money. I mean, really, when I was working in a pub, I was doing maybe like 5 days of work a week. And not kind of like full days necessarily, but like 6 hours or so a day or something like this. And really, I was earning like less than 300 quid a week. So you can see it's just not enough for rent and everything else. And I was paying 700 quid a month for just a room in a shared house, which is obscene, frankly. And yeah, that's just too much money for what it is. I mean, 500 quid a month. I was paying 500 quid a month for a flat when I had a flat. But yeah, it's atrocious, the state of the situation, how expensive rents are, how greedy landlords are, how yeah, how the system seems to be set up to get people to fail, doesn't support people back into work, cuts off their lifeline of benefits the moment someone starts working. It's ridiculous. It's terrible. And it all comes from the austerity politics of the Conservative Party over the 13 years they were in power. Was it 14 years? I don't know. But yeah, it was, and that's being continued now under the reign of Keir Starmer of the Labour Party. And the Labour Party is, just like a Tory light, if you like. And I voted for Keir Starmer. I was duped by the prospect of just getting the Labour Party into power for the sake of improving the situation in this country, or, on the erroneous assumption that they would do that, but they haven't done that. And they haven't fixed the benefit system like their manifesto said they were going to do. They haven't provided more money for the disabled people. They haven't, uh, you know, really done what a Labour government should be doing. And it's a great betrayal, I think. And, it does reflect the state of the country's finances if there truly isn't enough money to go around to help people, the most vulnerable people in society, the poorest people in society. and it's and they can't tax the rich either. They seem highly averse to taxing the rich, and this probably allowed them to get into power in the first place. Since the rich, when they sense that somebody's going to come into power, this is what they did to Jeremy Corbyn, and tax them heavily. Uh, they balk at the idea and spend lots of money to influence the media and try and undermine um, the passage to power of people who would uh, hold them to account and say that you should be paying your way in terms of taxation. And anyone who tries to do this comes under huge amounts of fire from the rich, basically. And this is what's happening to Gary Stevenson and his movement at the moment. And very commendable what Gary Stevenson is doing. And I think Gary Stevenson would make an excellent prime minister. But I don't know how likely that is to happen with so much money and influence being leveled against trying to allow that to happen. But yeah, it's I could go on about this, but I mean, it's a shame also that more homeless people don't get into volunteering, I think. And, the opportunities really are out there with accommodation to allow people to move on from homelessness and into something productive. I'm here volunteering with the National Trust for a year. So, I'll be learning a huge amount over the course of this year, I think. And after that, I'll be able to get assistant ranger jobs if I get my driving license sorted out before then, which I mean, maybe I can even, I don't know. But yeah, moving on to assistant ranger jobs and then do that for a couple of years, then become a full blown ranger with someone like the National Trust or one of the various national parks around the country or the RSPB or, like various organizations that run conservation projects and stuff like that. And yeah, I could be doing that sort of work in the future, and I find it really exciting. But I mean, unfortunately, not everyone who's homeless is able to do that sort of stuff. Even I mean, there's lots of problems, as people know, with addiction and so on, drugs. Then a lot of people have health problems which probably prevent them from doing things like manual work so much, and all these sorts of things. But yeah, I'm glad anyway that I've moved on to something better. I'm glad that I was resourceful enough to be able to find this opportunity in the first place. And I'm glad also that I've worked in agriculture for a few years. I've got an agricultural qualification, which has kind of set me up with some of the knowledge and skills that I'll need um, in this industry in conservation to allow me to sort of progress on to this sort of thing. It make quite a lot of transferable skills come from agriculture to conservation, and yeah, I've learned sort of a fair bit about environmental land management from, for instance, my course at Plumpton College back when I was studying there, and from working on farms, and from having grown up on a farm as well, and that helps, I think, just generally. But yeah, it's exciting. It's very exciting. It's very interesting, um, fascinating. The amount of knowledge that I expect I'll gain over the course of this year. I mean, for instance, just while we were doing tree guards in the field, we were sort of protecting oak trees, little oak saplings, which are growing in one of the fields that the National Trust own. We're putting up tree guards, and like I learned what a dog rose was and how to identify that plant, and it's just stuff like that really that you kind of learn on a day-to-day basis that I wouldn't have known otherwise. And I mean, I'm from the countryside. I should know these sorts of things, shouldn't I? Really? Growing up on a farm and everything else, I should know about plant life and animal life. I know a fair bit anyway, but I mean, I should, I think, know more than I do. I constantly find myself butting my head against my own ignorance, and I constantly find myself, not knowing something that I think I probably should know. I don't know. But it's good. Yeah, I mean, got recommended a couple of books to read. Oliver Rackham's History of the Countryside, as I've said. Got a wildflower guide, and I've got a textbook on heathland habitat to look at. Though I'm lending that to the guy who's staying with me at the moment, another immersive volunteer who's here with me, who used to be a personal trainer in London, and he's a cool guy, very chill, very easy to get on with, and yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm uh writing a fair bit of poetry. I mean, the peace and the quiet here and the stillness and everything has really allowed me to write a lot more poetry than I had been writing at the homeless shelter, and it's allowed me the concentration space and the focus to really start properly writing my book as well, or like finishing my book off, I should say, because I'm over halfway now with the second draft of my novel, and yeah, getting that slowly but surely completed. I'm going to do some writing today, I think, and try and get that done. I won't get it all done today, obviously, but I'll try and get that done over the coming weeks, I think. And yeah, very good. Really happy. Yeah, I mean, everyone's nice in the team that I'm working with, this National Trust team. It seems like, you know, they all, I don't know if they all get along with one another, but I mean, yeah, I'm sort of gaining the impression that they're all, cool people who are intensely interested in wildlife and nature and everything else. It's just a really cool place to work, I think. And I'm really glad they accepted me on this program. So, yeah, I mean, I'll keep you updated in the future because this video's dragging on a bit now, I think. I'll keep you updated in the future with everything that I'm doing. As I've said before, I will try and get some videos possibly of me out and about doing stuff, if I actually have the time to video it, which hopefully I will. And if, because I'll have to get them to consent to being on camera and stuff like that. And because I wouldn't want to film people, without their consent at all. And yeah, I'll do that hopefully, and get those uploaded. And I'll probably say goodbye for now, I think, and let you go. And yeah, just thought I'd give a little update of how things are going, and my first week as a volunteer conservationist. So yeah, it's all panning out, I think, in a pretty good direction. I'm very happy with what I'm doing, very happy where I am, and yeah, loving life. So yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. I love you lots. Please like, share, and subscribe. I know YouTubers have to say that sort of thing at the end of a video. I doubt you've watched it this long anyway, but well done if you have. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.